Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Xanassin Trophy for race 8 of 9 from the circuit de Croix. Before we check out how everyone got on in qualifying, let's take a look at the current championship standings. Demon R leading the way by 6 points. He's on 112, SGP on 106, Steve F1 a little bit further away. Tyler sitting in 4th place now with Mandalorian 5th, Dave the Harp in 6th, Mitch in 7th, Jason 8th, Fluffy Planet 1 point behind him in 9th, Twilight in 10th, and then we've got Bunsel, Rich Blues, Jimmy Groover, Formula Gary, SRI, Diesel and Conrad. Okay, let's see how the drivers got on in qualifying. So they're going to line up as follows. On the front row of the grid and taking pole position is Steve F1. He'll be joined on that front row by Demon R. However, 1.2 second gap between Steve F1 and everybody else. On row 2 we've got DGT League SGP, so the 3 championship contenders in the top 3 in qualifying. Mitch will join him on row 2. Groover, brilliant qualifying for him on row 3 alongside Jason. Twilight on row 4, he's next to Tyler, while Formula Gary sits on row 5 alongside Fluffy Planet. Conrad is on row 6 with Jimmy next to him, and then right behind them it's SRI and Bunsel, and then on the last row it's Rich Blues and a surprise Dave the Harp right at the back of the grid. A bad qualifying session for him. Without any further interruptions, time to move over to the commentary team. And joining me on commentary this week is Steve and Ray. Hope you're both well.
Yep,
Very well and ready.
Clearly, Steve and Ray are both very, very ready, but the question is Steve F1 who's sitting on pole position as we wait for the lights. They're about to go out and away they go, and it looks like a decent start from Steve F1 and from Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch going up the inside of Demon R there. Is he going to be able to make a move on SGP? No, Demon R's squeezing him out as they head down towards turn 1, which isn't really a turn. It's flat out, but breaking down to turn 2. And Steve F1 keeps the lead.
That he does. Mitch holds back as well. So Demon R sitting in 2nd, SGP in 3rd. Mitch and SGP bumping. I was going to say mirrors, but it's more like wheel archers at the moment as they made their way down the long. Well, it's not the longest straight, but it's still a long straight. All Demon R attacking Steve F1 into turn 3. Can he make anything of it? Oh, it was.
What's in the background?
I think Jason's had enough.
I think it was SRI put himself quickly up to 4th place from 14th.
Okay, what's he driving? A bloody TARDIS?
Must be. But I tell you what though, SGP has vanished. SGP must have gone in that TARDIS. Oh no, there he is. He's down in 9th place now, SGP. Fighting now with Connor.
Yeah, Tyler. I thought Tyler was going into the barrier there. And I know SRI, or should I say Ray, was trying to say something a moment ago. Do you want to explain yourself, Raymond?
Me? That's alright. Explain yourself. Not me.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, right then, got Conrad dipping a wheel, or 2 into the gravel, and he's spun around, collects SGP. SGP just about survives it, but loses 3 places. I was just going to mention that in the DGT League, we have raced around this track before. Oh, that looked like a little bit of lag on Demon R then.
It was either a bit of lag on Demon R or a bit of Mitch. It was difficult to tell, but there was something jumping about. But Mitch has got to run on Demon R now. Can he get it up into 2nd place?
He's going to give it a try. I'm sure now he's too far back to attack into the corner after the bridge, as James calls it. Sorry, not the bridge. I meant to call it. It's the hill, yeah, it's the Graham Mill. I was meant to call it. Oh, Demon R's into the barrier. We're going to say that a lot today, not just about him, about everybody pretty much. Oh, as Mitch is scraping the barrier as well. Yeah, I was trying to say we've raced around here before, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see cars finding disaster at the bridge, or even simply against the barriers.
Yeah, now down this long straight, Mitch could get a nice bit of slipstream. I wouldn't be surprised in the background if we end up seeing 2 or 3 wide. There it is in the background, 3 wide. And how's everyone going to make the braking zone down here? Because it's a long straight into a heavy braking zone. Is Mitch going to go for a look? Looks like Fluffy might. Tyler's covering off Twilight. And looking quite neat and tidy at the moment. I don't want to curse anyone though, because we've just seen SGP there, and I won't be surprised if he gets smacked off again, to be fair, with the start he's had.
Well, possibly. You know what? I was expecting carnage down. Oh, SGP's got David Hart right up his gearbox. Yeah, I was expecting carnage, but there wasn't any, which you could see. David Hart, where he's dipped a wheel on the gravel, going to have to be careful with that, as I'm sure the front wheel on SGP's car keeps getting bigger and bigger. He is closing in on the back of Jason, though, so he's got back up to 9th place after a difficult first lap. Steve F1 still leading, though, but for SGP, Ray, this could be disastrous for the championship, because he needs to beat Demon R here to have a chance of taking a title.
Yeah, I know. Oh, he's in the pits. Oh, nice. Is he changing his strategy up or something here? But yeah, he's got to be ahead of Demon R, but he needs to have a word with that SRI guy. He's just bugged it for him. As we see Bunzo looking on the back of Formula Gary here. Round turn 3.
Yeah, you know what, Conrad in the background there got close to the barrier as well, as Rich is just ahead of Jimmy. David Harp, who started dead last, by the way, had a shocker of a qualifying session. Unfortunately, he's fallen far from, what's that sort of apple fallen far from the tree? Starts the season off with a pole and a win in Monza, and then at this race didn't even get a lap in qualifying. Now, I'm not dissing him there, it's just the difficulty or the difficult nature of this bloody track.
Yeah, it's so long. It's, you know, you make a little mistake somewhere, and it's a lot of track you've got to try and recover that time lost, and it's not easily done. You're not going to get many laps in qualifying round here either, because 15 minutes, and it's pretty much 6 minutes just to do one lap once you've done an out lap. So yeah, you mess one up, and that's your qualifying pretty much over. Conrad getting close to the back of SRI, nosing up the inside. No, he's backed out of it a little bit. But SRI, with his old rival Rich ahead of him, can he try and make a move on him?
He'll give it a go, I'm sure. Oh no, he's just going to punt him. Oh no, what was that like?
I think Conrad gave me a tap, and gave SRI a tap, and Rich.
Oh, alright, so when it's not SRI's fault, it's you, and when it is SRI's fault, it's not you. I just want to mention as well that if SGP sounded a little bit tinny, don't worry, he's not got his head stuck in a beer can, or he might have. He has. No, he's Rich got a bit deep. It could just be difficult microphone setting. Oh, Richard SRI getting a little bit physical. They're talking about physical. You know, obviously we're in the lockdown situation at the moment all over the planet, and you know what? Looking at Rich here, it's just reminded me. Rich's livery, right? It's just reminded me of something as SRI's making a move, right? In Jamaica, a slice of apple pie is £2.50, right? But in the Bahamas, it's £3. They're the pirates of the Caribbean.
That joke, Sale.
It is a bad one. That is a bad joke. Terrible.
He's cracked himself up. SRI trying to get on the back of Bunzo and get Conrad. We've got a train of people. Bunzo on the back of Formula Gary or Twilight?
It's Gary, yeah.
Gary, yeah.
Conrad. Oh, bit of contact. Was it? It may have been Steve F1 though. We're having a look at Steve F1. Race leader, is he going for the pits? No, he's not. Demon R decides to go for the pits though. Mitch is continuing on. Looking at Demon R's fuel level, he could have gone for the extra lap. 15 is basically 1.5 laps worth of fuel. A lot of people heading in to the pits now. They obviously do not want to risk running out or getting undercut. You know what? That might...
SGP's in the pits again.
That's interesting. I was going to say, that might not work out very well for Demon R regarding boost here, because a load of cars behind him have just pitted instead of him coming out behind them and getting loads of boost. He's behind SGP. He is. Oh, you know what that is? SGP's done his pit stop the lap before, probably filled up and then pitted that time to do a very short stop. See, SGP being at the back would have got the boost. He's done a short stop there, topped up the tank a bit and come out ahead of Demon R, which means SGP is back in the hunt for the win here, and his championship rival is now right behind him. So SGP's got himself somehow back into a decent situation. Jimmy...
Yeah, I was going to say that's quite genius from SGP because he could have not pitted then and carried on going.
It ain't
He's
genius,
gained
is it, Ray? It's not genius at all. It's luck.
He's gained
Yeah.
but it's just gained that extra lap of fuel, and is still ahead of what must have been about 6 cars as well that all pitted. So it's probably in the same position as he would have been, but he's a few seconds down. But he's got the extra lap of fuel.
Maybe. Jimmy, though, was in 3rd place, but he's just been overtaken by Tyler. Tyler, I think, pitted at the end of the first lap along with SGP, so it'll be interesting to see how his race comes along. Conrad, though, sitting in 8th place, there's a bit of dust around Demon R there, but Conrad, he's got to be careful of Twilight, who's right behind him, and Groover. Groover's been shown to be quick around this particular track, but Twilight is coming under pressure, and Conrad's kind of in that danger zone. If he focuses too much on the cars behind, they'll pile on him. If you can ignore them a bit and focus on the racing line, he may be able to latch onto the back of Demon R. Running a little bit wide, they've got to be careful there. Nobody yet that we've seen has hit the bridge, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody already has.
Yeah, we see it every time we race here, don't we, Ray?
Yep, and Groover's just on the back. Oh, he's tapped Twilight, or Twilight just locked up.
No, I think Groover's he tagged him. I think he scraped the barrier and then tagged the back of Twilight, so a bit unlucky, but he has waited for him. One of the rules in the DGT League, if you do happen to knock someone off, just wait for them. As Groover's got a googly-eyed helmet, no wonder he crashes. Look at his helmet, if you can see it. We can't anymore. Gary, Gary, you know what, Gary, he's boxed Davey Arp in a little bit. No, he hasn't, because Davey Arp is ahead of him in Fluffy's slipstream. Gary couldn't do out about it. Gary had to slip back into slipstream, so Twilight couldn't get past him. Davey Arp's making the move on Fluffy through the hairpin, is he? I don't know. I think Fluffy's going to have the faster line here.
Yeah, Fluffy's done well to keep it stuck on the outside there, and they're giving each other a little bit of room there, which is nice to see. And looks like Davey Arp might just have...
You were saying...
I spoke too soon.
Conrad!
Yeah, Conrad's car's now a different shape after hitting that barrier. Bloody hell.
He needs a medic.
he does, he definitely... Okay, Steve F1 and Mitch have just pitted. Steve F1 right on the limit of fuel there. But interesting, they went the extra lap, and normally this is where we'd see them get undercut, but I believe Steve F1 is already coming out of the pits. He's already out of the pit lane. He's leading the race.
His fuel gauge only said 72, so he didn't fulfill it. He's put enough in to get out ahead of everybody else, so he's not got a full tank, but he's got enough in the tank to be ahead of everyone.
Mitch has come out right in between SGP and Demon R, perhaps not a position he would want to come out of, but that means that both Steve F1 and Mitch have managed to stay ahead of Demon R. I'm wondering then if Demon R took full fuel and Mitch and Steve F1 didn't, whether that time difference is enough to have put him in this situation.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Mitch may have taken full fuel, or if he didn't, he may have took tyres, because we know he is quite hard on his tyres, so we'll have to take note of when these cars come back in again for another pit stop. He's got the hard... No, we're using soft today. It's not soft.
Oh, SGP's going for the move up the inside into the difficult right-hander. No, we're not focused too much on the corners here today because it's so easy to not know which corner they're in, because every corner almost looks exactly the same, but SGP couldn't quite make the move. The difficult right-hander is known between the drivers as the corner that catches you out around this track, because you think it's one of the faster ones, and it's not. It tightens up. I'm sure we'll see somebody right in the barrier in that corner a little later on. We usually do. I mean, that's the thing, as you would mention about the bridge, we're bound to see somebody in the barriers in the bridge. We're bound to see somebody in the barriers at that difficult corner that I mentioned, and we're bound to see somebody in the barriers here as well.
Yeah, it's the nature of this track. We see it all the time. There's a bit of a bump there, and it's made SGP go a little bit wide, but he's managed to keep hold of it. There's a bump just before the bridge there, and it does catch out drivers. Steve F1 though, he's coming up to what I would call the loopy long right-hander before the long straight, and he's got, I'll tell you what, he's got some speed around there, and it looks like he's pulling away from anyone that's behind him, because that is a great exit line, and there is Tyler behind him. And if Steve F1 has short-filled his tank, which looks like what he did, that'll help him on his lap times as well.
Yeah, I mean, lower fuel, lighter car, much faster lap times, and that is clearly something that is going to have played an effect here. The problem for the likes of SGP and Demon R, who are in the title, we'll wait on that. Fluffy side by side with Gary. Gary's got the slipstream on Twilight. Groover is hung out to dry on the inside. Who's going to capitalise here? Gary can't go anywhere. Fluffy may get the move done on Gary here. No, Gary goes wide. Oh, he's given the room. There's given space, and then there's given the position as well. But I mean, it's not bad that from Gary, to be fair. In the past, we've seen him perhaps turn in on people or not realise someone's next to him, and I know recently he's been working on his awareness, and unfortunately on that occasion he was so aware of the car on the right of him he completely missed the edge of the track on the left of him.
Yeah, he gave them too much room, I suppose you could say. But what was nice to see as well was the fact that Groover realised it was 3 wide and it wasn't going to be wise. He tucked in behind Fluffy and he came out around the corner ahead of Gary. Yeah. So avoiding being 3 wide worked out for him there.
Yeah, that he did. Okay, interesting situation kind of brewing here, guys, in that Steve F1 is not being caught by Mitch, SGP and Demon R. I mean, these guys are catching up to Jason, who must have pitted sometime earlier on, unless he's running extremely lean, which I would doubt, or SGP's got a decent run on Mitch here. He may be able to attack. He's in the background. We can still see Twilight and Gary, Groover and Fluffy. We can't see Twilight and Gary because it was actually Twilight and Fluffy. Gary's a bit further back next to SRI. Yeah, there he is, and there's SRI. So yeah, what was I saying?
You were saying that SGP might have a run on Mitch, and the fact that they're catching up Jason but not Steve F1.
Yes, right, okay, so they're not catching up to Steve F1 now, which means it begs the question, how far can Steve F1 go? Because if these guys aren't catching him now, could he pit, fuel again and get out before these guys again? I mean, it throws a spanner in the works for these guys, because if these guys are fulfilled, they kind of have to go long to burn the fuel down now.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but it looks like on this last lap, this lap and the previous lap, that Mitch might actually be holding these two up a little bit. And I know he made a good move on SGP, but nothing against Mitch, but SGP's wishing he could get him out of the way and start to close that gap.
SGP's coming under pressure from Demon R. SGP's run wide. Demon R side by side with him makes the move, and wasting no time at all when the opportunity arose. I mean, that was interesting driving from the both of them. SGP did well not to end up in the barrier, but at the same time it was just an opportunistic move as Gary is having a look at Fluffy. Fluffy goes defensive, squeezes him towards the barrier. Now Gary's on the brakes. Fluffy's got to be careful. Twilight's in the background. Conrad makes the move on Groover, and that's lovely, but that's allowed SRI to close in. Conrad now having to defend from Groover, but it's a slower, tighter line. He may get an okay mid-corner, but struggle on the exit as we have a close-up look at Gary's window. Who's at the head of this pack, though, because they're going to get mugged. It's Twilight,
yeah. There's SRI to bum drafting Gary along.
There's a P in there somewhere. All Twilight's decided to get in front of Fluffy, who's getting the best of the bump drafts there. Conrad's up the inside though into the hairpin. Is that going to work? He's backed out of it, thank God. Groover and Gary side by side. Fluffy trying to make the move on Twilight. So far this is brilliant stuff, which means that we're about to witness a massive crash.
Yeah. Don't do what SRI said. That was great, all round that corner, bang.
Yeah. To be fair though, no, it was Conrad making a move, having a look around the outside of Gary, but he's going to run wide if he carries too much speed. Okay.
Quick run through of the order.
Yeah, quick run through. Who was in what position there? Tyler's into the pits with quite a bit of fuel left in, to be honest. Jason also into the pits. That may have just freed up Mitch, Demon R and SGP. Where is Tyler going to come out though? Because Tyler may have got himself into the chance of the win here. But the other thing that I was trying to sort of hint at with these guys not catching Steve F1 is Steve F1 before this race kind of was out of the championship, to be fair. Not mathematically, but now if he wins the race and it finishes with Demon R in third, SGP in fourth, difficult for SGP and difficult for SGP going into the last race against Demon R, but Steve F1 beating the both of them could bring himself right back into the title fight.
It could do, and it's a long race round here. It's a long lap, even though it's a 40-minute race. It's a long lap, and anything can happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody like Tyler or Jason getting themselves back up near the front at some point.
Yeah, because there's nobody that's getting to the end of the race at the moment, I don't believe. From what I can gather, you can do about 20 minutes on a full tank of fuel, but you've got to do a bit of fuel saving in there to do that, because half a tank will only do 10 minutes if you do a bit of fuel saving. Groover piling a bit of pressure on the back of Gary. I must admit, this has been one hell of a battle. As normal in DGT, the pack is mental, and in the pack,
And there's Tyler in the pack.
Oh yeah, you're right, Tyler is closing in on the back of SRI, so he's got probably brand new tyres, but he's also got a full tank of fuel, which means he may not be as quick because his car's not as light, but he needs to take opportunities when he can. Oh, Fluffy! Oh!
It's on the, he hit the wall, the barrier, and then right across the track. Oh, thank God the gods came in there and just ghosted him, because that could have been mental, with all the cars coming round.
Yeah, that
Especially with that amount of cars coming up behind him, that could have been carnage, to be fair. But we sometimes like to see a bit of carnage. It's what makes it fun. Hopefully we're not going to see that with Mitch and Demon Art and SGP. We want a nice clean race for the title.
Mitch going defensive here into the hairpin. This could allow SGP to close in as Demon Art was looking to try and do a switchback, but Mitch was kind of parking it on the apex. Oh, Mitch getting a little bit sideways there. But interestingly, this is also allowing Dave the Harp to start closing in on this battle. Currently sitting in 5th place. Demon Art got a little bit sideways there. Mitch now has a little bit of a breather as I think SGP just dipped a wheel in the grass. You have to be so careful of doing that with these cars. They're so fragile with the tyres if you punish them or get them dirty. They do not like it at all. Demon Art closing in again on Mitch as Mitch runs a little bit wide, but so does Demon Art. Not able to capitalise on this occasion. We're now 19 minutes into the race. Is anybody going to be heading for the pits? No, Mitch trying to do it. SGP does.
Yeah. Surely that can't be his last pit stop. Maybe he's going to try and do what he did earlier, where he pits.
I'm going to call you off, Steve, because Demon Ar's having a look up the inside of Mitch. Is he know Mitch trying to cover it off? Demon Ar now having a look at the outside, now the inside, going for the switchback. Both of them getting sideways on the exit in the corner, but I think Demon Ar's going to have a run here. Yes, he is, as they now go side by side down towards the hairpin. And this is where Mitch, if he wanted, could squeeze Demon Ar a little bit and make it as tight as he could for him. But to be fair, Demon Ar has managed to get ahead. Now needs to slow it down and not bin it on the exit of the corner, which he manages to do. Got a little bit twitchy, but does make the move and gets ahead of Mitch. The question now is, can he get away from Mitch and start closing in on SGP? Because SGP, having just pitted, as you were probably about to say, now has a possibility of getting an undercut on the likes of Demon R and Mitch. But we've seen what happens if you put a full tank of fuel in at this race.
Yeah, and I was just what I was trying to say. I was wondering if SGP will put that full tank of fuel in and then pit on the next lap to put another full tank of fuel in to undercut.
Gonna cut you off again here, Steve. Yep.
Moves here. Tyler's trying to get through the pack to try and get back up to the front again.
He'll have realised that SGP has made a pit stop as well. Oh, a little bit sideways.
Twilight in the background.
Twilight in the background, dipping into the gravel as well as SRI now trying to slip up the inside of Gary. Jason slipping past Tyler. Jason pitted at the same time as Tyler. I think Demon R has made a bit of a mistake here because Mitch is coming back past him. Either that or Mitch has just had an absolute blinder and has made the move as they're side by side over the bridge, but Demon R backs out of that one. It's not the best of corners to go side by side through. Sometimes it's better to live to fight another day or fight to live another day, depending on the situation at the moment. But yeah, Tyler battling with Jason but had to get through the pack. Bunsell going alongside with Gary now as Twilight trying to recover, but behind that is Jimmy and then SGP. So even though SGP's pitted, has the possibility of boost, he's now got 8 cars between him and where he was.
Yeah, but this gives him an opportunity to turn his engine down if he needs to and just stick in that slipstream. Demon R trying to go for a move on Mitch. Mitch defending it, and it looks all fair and clean at the moment. Demon R trying to get round the outside. Mitch has got that one covered off though.
That he has. I thought Demon R was crashing for a minute then with the twitchy movements, but he's definitely applying pressure on the back of Mitch. At the end of the day, if you get a driver looking in his mirrors more than he's looking forward, there's a good chance he's going to make a mistake. Question is Mitch going to buckle, or is he going to hold on to this? He's really being pushed along at the moment. The thing is, we're now 22 minutes into this race, which means we could be looking at driver's last pit stops as Steve F1 is heading into the pits. He's got 0.7 of fuel left. What's Mitch going to do? What's Demon R going to do? I can't imagine they're going to carry on. No, they both pit.
So how much fuel do you put in from this point? Because surely you're going to make this your last pit stop and go to the end. And Dave the Arp, he's headed into the pits. Groover, where's he going? He's going into the pits. Jason, he's not. He's opted to stay out.
Demon R's coming out of the pits. Demon R's coming out of the pits ahead of Steve F1.
So how has that happened? Demon R must have short filled or not taken tyres. And we'll know.
He's there, look. He's absolutely miles ahead of Steve F1.
That must be a short fill and no tyres to be that far ahead from being as far behind as he was, surely.
Yeah, he's definitely done something a bit odd there, because Steve F1, should have come out ahead of him and had Demon R full fueled, or even part fueled and taken tyres. So yeah, he must have short filled. Maybe, you know what I reckon, whatever happened with Steve F1 earlier, pitting and coming out ahead, Demon R must be trying something different now to see if he can take this away from Steve F1. But very interesting scenario, because if Steve F1 has now got the heavy car and fresh tyres, can Demon R on old tyres but light fuel pull away, so when he does need to pit again, into the barrier, Conrad, as Mitch battling with Fluffy. I wouldn't be surprised if Mitch at the moment is wondering, hang on, where the bloody hell's Demon R? He was with me a moment ago. As he goes side by side with Fluffy. Hang on, where's Conrad gone? Oh, there he is. All right.
Dave. Fluffy's still trying to come back. Was Fluffy not flying in practice? Did I not hear something about him being quite fast in practice?
No, it was Fluffy saying Groover was quick in practice.
Oh, Groover.
Yeah, Fluffy never.
That tells you how much practice I had.
I'll tell you what though, Jimmy! Oh, Conrad!
That was a bit of a ricochet there. I think he may have just about got away with it.
He may have, you know what, he may want to start watching some different TV programmes in this lockdown, and so might SGP. Learn how to brake, watch a programme on braking zones and things like that, as Fluffy, new name for him, is closing in on the back of Mitch. Jimmy and Dave the Arp got side by side there, right?
Is it not Gary?
No,
it's Gary.
Jimmy. Fluffy's making... Yeah, it was Dave the Arp and Jimmy. Fluffy making the move on Mitch though. Dave the Arp closing in rapidly with this. I'm wondering, if Mitch has let Fluffy through there, Fluffy got past too easy on the straight. Either that or Mitch must have clattered the barrier or something, because he was definitely slower than normal down the straight, as Fluffy getting a little bit sideways.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Fluffy's light on fuel here and going to be pitting soon, and that's why he's got the extra speed on a heavy car that Mitch has got. That might be the case here, especially if you see Fluffy pit at the end of this lap.
It's a good shout that. You could be absolutely spot on, because I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Fluffy. He's definitely got more pace in that car by the looks of things. Jason, we can see just ahead of Tyler. These two pitted quite some time ago. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to do. Tyler's going for the pits. Okay, he's got 48% of fuel. That's not bad, but he probably wouldn't get to the end. So does have to make the pit stop, as Dave the Harp, Twyla also in the pits. Dave the Harp and Conrad kind of side by side. Now Groover coming alongside Conrad, but Groover's got the slipstream.
Fluffy didn't pit.
He has. No, I was wrong. Fluffy didn't pit, so unless he's got just a little bit less fuel than Mitch, but it may just be driving quicker at this point in time.
It could be absolutely. Maybe Mitch's head has been blown a bit by. Hang on a minute. How come I'm surrounded by these guys now when I was fighting with Demon R a minute ago and trying to work out how Demon R's leading the race? It can happen. Dave the Harp though is pressuring into the corner as he goes side by side with Conrad. Does he? Yes, and gets past. I think Conrad was a little slow there. Groover coming past him now as well. Conrad perhaps struggling a little bit around this track. It is a bit of an animal. Just to mention though, Demon R, he's got about a 4-second lead on. Oh, Conrad comes in quick and goes out fast as Dave the Arp into the grass and the barrier. I think that's one that Conrad should probably be slowing down for there.
Yeah, I know that earlier on you said we'll probably see somebody going off at that corner, but we don't think we expected it to be quite like that.
No, that is true, but that will help Mitch out a little bit, to be fair, because he now hasn't got Dave the Arp hunting him down from behind, and he can focus a little bit.
He does have Conrad, and I don't know if that's any better.
True, yeah, considering what he's just done to Dave the Harp. I just hope that Dave the Harp's stress levels are low enough at the moment. So yeah, I was mentioning that Demon R is about 4 seconds ahead of Steve F1. We're not looking at that at the moment. Oh, Conrad is wide again!
Oh dear. Yeah, I was mentioning a moment ago he needs a new sponsor on that car, and it should be Hammerite. Because that's supposed to look after metal, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I was waiting for the dodgy pun, to be fair. Dave the Arp on his recovery, trying to make a move around the outside of Gary, around the outside of Jimmy. He's got away with that one. That was a good move, to be fair.
It was a good move, but has it compromised his exit? Well, one of them's going to get slipstream, or both of them actually. It looks like he did get quite a good exit there. He's closing in on Tyler ahead of them.
Yeah, now we saw Tyler pit and end of the last lap as Jimmy closing in on Gary Bunsell there as well, and Conrad. Or Bunsell was having a look at the inside of someone, or was just having a look at where the braking point was, going side by side still with Jimmy. So yeah, Tyler's kind of in danger zone at the moment, where he really needs to get away from this pack of cars to make any kind of boost work for him at the moment, as Jimmy and Conrad go side by side. Can so easily happen around this track. No harm, no foul on that occasion, as Demon R is heading into the pits for what will be his final stop. So he definitely did short Phil. Question is, where is he going to come out, as Steve F1 will be blowing a huge sigh of relief at the moment. And if you thought I was going to say something else there, you dirty-minded sods. But yeah, Steve F1 will be relieved at the moment, because I don't think he will have known what was happening there as Conrad headed to the pits. Tyler's got a decent run on Groover. Tyler needs to make this move as Demon R is coming out of the pit lane. This could get close. Is Tyler going to make the move? Oh, Groover, yes, he is through that corner as Groover had to avoid Demon R, and Dave the Arp sneaks through as well.
Wow, that was very good racing to keep all the cars away from each other there, because that could have been very nasty. Demon R now, they're slipstreaming on Groover, and he's going to want to get Groover out of the way as soon as possible, because even though he just did that extra pit stop, he's got some work to do now.
Yeah, he'll be fueled to the end, but so is Tyler, and Tyler's ahead of him. So is Steve F1, and Steve F1 is leading the race by a long mile. Can you have a long mile?
You can have a long mile, can't you? But has Demon R made a mistake in this race with his strategy, would you say? Because he's now sat in, 8th place with 10 minutes to go?
You'd have to question it, that's for certain. Groover, though, is putting some pressure on the back of Dave the Harp, as Twilight now is behind Demon R. Well, the thing, it depends. If Demon R ends up second place in this race, no, he's not made a mistake. If he doesn't end up second place in this race, yeah, he's made a mistake. The question is, will SGP get to the end on his fuel? Steve F1, I believe if he full fueled, he can get to the end. So, Groover and Dave the Arp both into the barrier. Demon R needs to get past them now, but can't. That was his opportunity.
No, but I just want to mention as well, Jason sat in second place. I don't remember seeing his last pit stop. Is he fueled to the end? And if he has, how the hell has he put himself up in second place?
I've no idea, but you sound more like a robot than ever. Just to let you know, it's just suddenly got really, really bad. But yeah, you were mentioning about Jason.
Claire, stop watching porn.
It's not me, it's you. Hey, you're only dissing yourself there. If she was having to watch porn, you're not doing something right. That's what mother would say. If your partner's having to watch porn, you're not doing something right. Okay. Anyway, back to the race. Back to the racing, eh, Ray? Back to the racing, yeah.
Oi, SGP, shut up.
Okay, Groover making a move on Dave the Harp here. Interestingly, giving each other plenty of room. Like to see that, as we know that these two have been bumping doors a little bit recently. Nice to see that they are giving each other that extra little bit of wiggle room. It can make such a difference to the quality of racing, as Demon R is now trying to close in on them, but he's got nowhere to go, and this is now costing him time. Tyler's running away, and if Demon R goes and sticks his nose somewhere it don't belong, he could end up losing a ton of points here. Jason, you were on about SGP. When did he last pit? I don't know, but he's in the pits now.
Yeah, he's just gone in now. He's got 11% of fuel left. He's not going to need to put a lot in to do the last 10 minutes or so. So I won't be surprised if we see him heading out around about where Demon R is, to be fair.
Exterminate. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like Johnny Five alive.
It has got quite. I apologise for that, folks. But yeah, I mean, okay, I've joked a little bit today about people should be watching different TV programmes during the lockdown. What Steve was on about a moment ago wasn't what I was on about watching. It was more about driving techniques and things like that. But actually, you know what, talking about that...
I'm not sideways at the background there.
Was he into the barrier again?
No, it wasn't into the barrier, it was sideways with, is that Fluffy behind him? I can't see you that part. And he's got his Specsavers.
I love this view. I love this view. We've got a battle for 5th and 6th, and behind them is a row of like 10 cars all ready to pounce. Brilliant stuff here at the moment. Groover, he's in a brilliant position at the moment, holding off Demon R. He's going defensive though into the tricky right-hander. That could compromise him. So is Conrad. Fluffy could have a decent run on Conrad here. He will have a decent run. Conrad's gone wide into the barrier. Oh dear.
Yeah, that's a wall we've seen him in before, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in it again. Am I still really bad?
This is a lockdown. This is a lockdown. Yeah, it is quite bad. I would say it sounds like you're vibrating, but end of that conversation. Fluffy, I think just got hit by Jason as Demon R is making the move on Groover. I think Groover may have hit the barrier that he hit behind David Harper a lap or so ago. So that has freed up Demon R to now try and close in on Tyler. But Groover, to be fair, is still in a brilliant position at the moment in 5th. If he can get to the end, because there's only 6 minutes left, guys, I don't know where this time has gone, but if Groover can hold on to this position, it might be it would be his best result of this championship, that's for sure. But what can Demon R do now? He's currently in a position where Steve F1 is miles ahead of everybody in this race, but SGP is in 2nd place as Conrad and SRI are side by side through the loopy long right-hander, as SGP would call it, or Steve would call it, depends on whether he's been naughty or good. Has he made the move?
You asked about where's the time when get exterminated.
Oh, Fluffy, Conrad, SRI
wide.
gonna make it 3 wide. Ooh, actually, you know what? I think SRI has managed to slip back into the slipstream. Fluffy's hung out to dry a little bit. Could come under a lot of pressure here as Conrad going around the outside. Oh, SRI got wide. Conrad gives him a nudging, and SRI's cutting the grass. I don't know if that was Conrad hitting him off or SRI going off anyway, and then Conrad helping him along the way. Fluffy getting a little bit sideways next to Bunsaloo sideways.
Well, he's had a big spin after touching the wall there as well. It looked like David Harper had his second incident from on there.
I think I know what happened there. I do apologise. You know what, Steve? If when listening to this back, you can hear how your microphone's gone, you'll see why we're taking the piss. Okay, just to let you know, we are into the last 4.5 minutes of the race, which means with just over a 3-minute lap, I think there's going to be this lap and one more to go as Gary is right behind a Fluffy. He's going to have a look into turn. Oh, Jimmy's big time sideways, but he's managed to save it. But now he may have just tagged the back of Gary as Fluffy loses it on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, has my microphone improved anymore now?
It's all right now.
That's all right then. I've unplugged my headset.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we're 4 wide, nearly 5 wide, heading down into turn 3. Oh, someone got a little bit twitchy there. I think Jason just gave Jimmy a little bit of a nudge, a big puff of smoke. Is Dave the Arp in there? No. Oh, Bunsel's lost it.
Yeah, Bunsel's losing it at the end there. He lost his rear. But yeah, we've got Jason now back up into 9th place, and he is going to be wanting after his late pit stop to be catching the cars ahead of him. Oh, big contact.
I was just trying to work out who that was in the commentary box speaking. I didn't recognise the sound.
Yes, that was me. But Gary there, unfortunately for Gary, he's facing the wrong way.
Yeah, big disaster. Difficult to see exactly what happened there. It looked a little bit like half a dozen of one and 7 of the other. But anyway, Demon R closing in now on Tyler. Tyler coming under a bit of pressure. Mitch sitting pretty comfortably in 3rd place at the moment. But you asked Steve a few minutes ago whether Demon R has made a mistake with strategy. I think the answer is yes. With what, 3 minutes to go? Yeah. He ain't catching Steve F1 and SGP, I don't believe. So yeah, I think he needs to go watching some TV shows in this lockdown period as well. You know, I'm talking about that. I watched this brilliant TV program last night, a documentary, right, about beavers. It was the best damn show I've ever seen.
I bet it was. You're the best show I've ever seen.
It's only beaver he's seen.
It's the only beaver I've seen, you cheeky sod. Oh dear. Anyway, so Demon R
a few seconds ahead of Demon R, so Mitch can probably take it easy for a bit.
I think you're right. Oh, Tyler's gone wide in the hairpin. That could allow Demon R to attack. You know what? I'm wondering if that's Tyler bricking it a little bit after Demon R dive bombed him in Spain last week, which I know he was not happy about because he told me.
Yeah, we're just having a look now at Twilight. He's starting to get under pressure a little bit by the cars behind him, by the car, literally held the cars behind him. There's a lot of them.
I was going to say, where's Groover gone? He was 5th, he's now 9th. Oh, Conrad! Ooh! That's one way to make it 3 wide. Slide across the grass, make it 3 wide. He's done well to not wipe anybody out there. I think, to be fair, Conrad, I don't think he's had a lot of practice around this track, in this car, and I don't think he raced here previously, so I think it may be what is kind of showing that, yeah, without the extra bit of practice, he's struggling a bit. Is Demon R making the move? Is he on Tyler into turn 3? Yes, Tyler being a decent dance partner there. Demon R not dive bombing him on this occasion, but Tyler may have an opportunity to attack back down into turn 3, guys, as we are on to the last lap, by the way.
He's doing a tango next.
The tango? No. I'm terrible.
Just to say that at this point, Tyler Ripley. This will be the time now where drivers will be realising whether they've got enough fuel or not to get to the end, and whether they need to do a bit more fuel saving, and that could affect their pace. So if Mitch has to do any fuel saving, Demon R might be able to catch him up. Or did Demon R put enough in, and Tyler might come back past him? But it's, Steve F1 looks like he's cruising. SGP looks like he's cruising, to be fair.
Yeah, well, they're both in the situation where they're both currently ahead of Demon R with another car in between them, so they're in a brilliant position for the championship. Twilight currently sitting in 6th with SRI in 7th, Bunsell in 9th with David Harp in 8th, Groover's there as well, and Conrad. With the amount of times I've seen Conrad having excursions in this race, I don't know how he's still there. Either A, because of his internet, or B, simply because I've seen him crash a lot around this track. But SRI sitting in a decent position at the moment. I do wonder what happened to Groover a little bit earlier on, because he went from 5th down to 9th. I don't know if he ended up having to do a pit stop or what, but just to confirm now, yeah, we have passed the 40th minute, so it is definitely the last lap of the race as SRI trying to make a move up the inside on the hill, and he chooses not to go for it.
David Hart done the move. I was trying to defend.
Oh,
it didn't work.
Alright, okay, well, at least you've been honest about it. So David Hart then, he moves himself up to 7th place.
Out the window.
Yeah, that he is. SRI's going to have to be careful because he's coming under attack from Bunsell, Groover, I think, and Conrad, as Jason.
There's Jason's away down in 14th.
Oh, is it?
Going to be in 15th in a second. Yeah, he's in 15th now.
Okay, this is frantic. We're into the danger zone now. It's last lap of the race. The drivers know it's last lap of the race. This is where they, rather than need to be more aggressive, need to be more cautious. As around goes SRI. I can only guess that he was assisted with that one. It's not normally a place you just lose the rear like that. Fluffy was off as well. But Steve F1, he's come around the final corner. He's going to win this by an absolute mile, and he's absolutely elated with it. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely, yeah. SGP is somehow going to finish in second place. Long stint for him. Mitch, yeah. Is he delighted? Or he's crashed it, but he has crossed the line, so he's third. Demon R fourth, Tyler fifth, Twilight. This might be his best result of this championship. You know, Groover and Bunsell, they're in the grass. Bunsell, Groover, where's he going? Oh, he doesn't need fuel, but he's in the pits. That may, he's going to lose positions. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's dropped him down to 13th with a checkered flag there. That's unfortunate for Groover, that is.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah, and Jason with Rich in 14th, Jason in 15th, and with that spin on the last lap, with no time to recover, and it looked like it was a mistake all of his own as well.
Yeah.
It all went wrong for Jason, to be fair, after his last pit stop. Just wasn't able to capitalise on that. It did come across like he didn't do much practice, but Steve F1, driver of a champion there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we didn't see what happened to Jason earlier on, but I mean, with seeing the crash that he'd just had, it's possible that something else like that had happened, and that's why it ended up further back down there. Unfortunately, we don't get to see everything that does happen. Obviously, Groover at the end, I mean, he was in 5th place at one point, ends up 13th. I mean, that was absolutely disastrous for him. Reminds me a little bit of a really sad story that I read today. It was about a British man that was mowed down and killed by a boat in Venice. Locals offered their condolences.
Oh, for God's sake. You're getting worse.
Definitely not getting better.
They're not. Admittedly, every single one of those was sent to me. Right? They're not mine. They were sent to me.
Bonzo.
No, it wasn't Bunsell. I'm not telling you who. But yeah, okay. Steve F1, fabulous race there. He's called his strategy absolutely spot on with that one. And with the result going how it has, I think he's just brought himself back into the title fight. Because SGP's will have closed up to Demon R, and Steve F1 will have closed up to the both of them. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what that's done to the championship standings as we head into the last race. Just to mention as well, we will show the drivers' post-race comments as well. As they fly across the screen, but yeah, I mean, SGP did well to recover and do. I think he pitted with 22 minutes to go and got to the end. So
a long stint for the SGP there. Must have done a lot of fuel saving to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. For Mitch, clearly he was delighted with finishing in 3rd place. We've seen him have pole positions this championship and not be able to convert them into wins. Not pole position for the last couple of races, but better results for him. And it's the results that get you points.
Just a quick question: was it Steve F1 that was on pole?
Yes.
And he's won. So that's the first pole win this season.
I think you might be right.
Curse has been broken.
Well, I was trying to think this. Well, yeah, no, Dave the Harp. He got pole in Monza.
Oh, yeah.
And won at Monza, right? So the curse was created after Dave. After that, yes. No one else had pole in a win that I can remember until now. Okay, so yeah, Mitch, delighted. Demon Art, yeah, definitely made an error somewhere. I mean, you could question, did he make the right call doing the short stint and trying something different? Probably, yeah. But if it had filled the tank, he would have still been a long way behind Steve F1 anyway.
If he had just copied what the others were doing, he still would have had a big gap between him and the other cars. So he needed to try and do something different.
Yeah.
And I think he probably ended up in the same place as he would have done if he had put a full tank in and done one stop less.
Yeah, quite. I think I'd agree with you on that one. It's interesting that looking at when people were pitting, on occasion, when you pit for an undercut, it don't work. And one of the reasons it don't work is when everybody behind you also pits, because then you don't get the boost, which means you don't get the undercut. You're just heavy and slow, which is me all over. After Demonard, Tyler, given that Tyler's had a very difficult week, and do offer his family our condolences, by the way, Tyler, to be able to turn up and race like that and get a brilliant result, absolutely fantastic. So definite well done to him, and obviously our condolences. Twilight, I think he'll be happy with that one, finishing in 6th place. As for the result after that, madness. What a race that was. In between brilliant driving, some cautious driving, and Conrad denting every barrier around the track.
We'd normally see a lot of drivers having incidents around that track, but today we just seem to have Conrad having a lot of incidents around that track.
Okay, we're teasing him a little bit. To be fair, it is a track that is, if you haven't got the rhythm of that track, it's going to do that to you. It doesn't matter who you are.
With Connor, he's a reserve. He doesn't expect to be racing, and sometimes gets chucked in at the last minute. And he did this week, and that's why he's not had much practice at the track.
Yeah, definitely.
And the track actually feels as if it's green. It's not been rubbered in. It felt dead slidey.
Oh, it was definitely slippery down at turn 3.
Yeah.
On that first lap, Well,
to be fair though, I'd agree with you, Ray, because Demonard did tell me. Go on.
SRI needs to go and go and watch the last video James was commenting on, and take that information in and put it in his head.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like he didn't want to make it 3 wide. It was like, oh no, can't be here, and he can't make it 3 wide. I'll go a bit further forward. Oh no, I'm still 3 wide. I'll go a bit further forward. Oh no, still 3 wide. Hit SGP instead.
Yeah.
Just a levels tap here.
Yeah,
just a gentle one. Yeah.
But I mean, as far as the race goes, overall, not too bad, to be fair, around there. It's not the easiest of race tracks, and as we've seen from these cars, a little bit of nothing can turn into a lot of something. Which, you know what, is going to bring me on to something now, guys. Seeing as I've got you both here, it'd be wrong of me not to ask you a question or two about the future. So, seeing as
it's bright and it's orange. What else do you want?
Are you sure? I think they went bust, didn't they? Okay, this championship, you guys said that you were going to use this championship as a test of whether we could go to using faster cars than these Group 2s. Now, these Group 2s aren't set at their maximum capabilities, but compared to everything else we've driven in a championship, they are a level up. So, simple question, really. How's the test gone?
Positive, I'd say, as in a way that we've learnt a lot. We found out that the cars are too fast for Ray.
Who's Ray? A racer called Ray?
No, but seriously, we have gained a lot of experience and knowledge from driving in these cars. And the simple way of putting this is, I don't think now would be the right time for this league to be racing in faster cars, but we're not going to rule it out in the future. But that also doesn't mean that we won't use cars that are of a faster class, like LMP ones, Group 1s, that may be detuned. Main reason is, when you have a little accident in a fast car, it becomes a big accident, and that then seems to upset the drivers a lot more than a little accident. So a little accident, drivers seem to get on with it. Big accident, seem to have a lot more moaning. And obviously we want to reduce the amount of accidents.
But
we're not saying never.
It's not
It's
moaning,
whinging.
They're just like, oh, what's going on? And they're not really moaning or whinging. We're in the heat of the moment, and it's like, how did that happen type thing, in your body, your mind reacting to it.
Okay, so a lot of frustration then.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, causing frustration that you can't find out exactly what happened until after the race. I mean, for example, when we raced the Mazdas, you could have a bit of contact in those Mazdas and not a lot would happen. In these Nissans, you have a little bit of contact and as we've seen on numerous occasions, a little bit of contact and can end up in a big crash. It's interesting you mentioned there about higher class cars detuned though, right? I just want to touch on that a bit more, if you don't mind, because obviously there's a lot of cars on the game that a lot of the drivers would like to drive, like the LMP1s or the old LMP1s. Brilliant looking cars, bit bonkers, but at the same...
I don't know why they want to drive them. Drive a go-kart.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting, isn't it? They don't want to drive go-karts, but they want to drive an LMP1. Yeah.
You'll get more fun out of a go-kart.
Yeah, that they would, if they can hold on to the steering wheel. But yeah, so it is interesting, I think, that you'd still entertain the idea of using higher class cars, but detuned to perhaps a nicer spec to race. Not necessarily just a nicer spec to drive, but a nicer spec to race.
I mean, that's what you got to remember. I mean, some of the cars that are really fast to drive are really enjoyable when it's you on the track on your own. But if you're in a pack, in a race, you want a car that's going to be good in that situation. Mm-hmm. So taking one of these faster cars and getting the tuning set or the tyres set to a certain level where it makes it fun to race, that's what we want. And sometimes that doesn't mean that car will be racing at its maximum performance. It'll be racing at a performance which is going to benefit the ability to race.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the drivers have got different strengths. So some people might be good in the faster cars, some people might not be. So as a league, we're just trying to make it so it's not a burden on people that we're going to this car and they're like, I don't get on with this car or that. So if we detune it or bring it down a wee notch, we're looking after the league and our drivers more.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, I mean, to put it into, for anyone that doesn't understand Scottish, to put it into perspective, what Ray's basically saying there is, for anyone that, for example, was struggling a little bit with this Nissan to begin with, being a bit twitchy on the rear end, we go to higher powered cars, that little twitch becomes a spin, which you have no control over, right? But
just to put traction control on, like all the rest of the start.
But by detuning the car and taking a bit of the power out, it means that twitch may still be a little bit of a twitch, but it's not now a spin. And also those little bit of contacts that turn into big crashes won't necessarily turn into big crashes. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I know before this championship started, I said to you guys it'd be interesting to see what the drivers thought about how the test has gone. So it would. I think SGP has disconnected or he's come back. So I think it'd be interesting in a way to get some feedback from the drivers about how they think the championship has gone with this car. Because obviously we have been in difficult times at the moment, and one of the things that obviously racing in this kind of thing is there to do is for the enjoyment factor, and sometimes if the car doesn't make it enjoyable, you kind of have to learn from that. I'm going to ask you one more question. Does that mean you know what you're going to do then after the Toyota? And if the answer is yes,
can we give you a bit of a spoiler?
Well, I'm going to ask you that, but I would actually say just tell us if you know what you're going to do yet or not, yes or no.
Right.
Do we? I fucking don't know what day it is, so... we've got an insight to what we're doing. We always do. We always... once the season starts, we're looking on to the next season, or the next 2 seasons, to be honest. So we're always working, checking it out. Well, I'm not working, you guys are working. Checking stuff out, giving feedback to each other. Because, we've got free admins. One's a badman, but yeah, we've got the free admins and.
Well, I'm going to call it Sadman.
Yeah,
Sadman. But yeah, we're always looking. New cars come in, we go and check them out. New tracks come in, we go and check them out. Mile Exchange, you know that guy, what's his SGP?
Oh,
he loves that Mile Exchange.
he does, doesn't he? Well, interestingly, I know, for anyone that doesn't know, I heard that there's a list of cars.
Well, there is a list. When we've driven a car that's nice, we go, oh, we'll add that to the list. So there's a list of potential cars that could be used in the league, yes.
Okay.
And if I don't like it, we don't use it. And if I don't like the track, we don't use it.
And if Steve F1 don't like it, we do use it. Renault Clio's coming up, boys.
To the list. Just to the top of the list.
Yeah.
And if Demon R don't like it, we're using it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to say after the Toyota Supra season, we have decided what's happening for that following season, and all the information will be released as soon as possible, but not until after the start of the Supra season. But I think it could be the best season that we've had at DGT, one of the most interesting seasons, and it'll definitely mix the pack up and give anybody an opportunity to win a race.
Why, are you retiring?
No, but I just think it's just going to mix it up so much. I think it's going to make such a difference to the racing, the format that we're going to be putting forward. I don't want to say anything else other than that it just gives anybody an opportunity to win a race. And it's not because they might just nick it on the last lap.
I thought you said you wouldn't say any more.
Anybody could run away with it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, to be fair, at the end of the day, that can only make it more exciting, more interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes... Well, okay, let's put it this way, right? Everybody knows most people know who I really am, and I'm in close contact with that guy, Demon R. And obviously he's... Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I've never seen the fucker.
I'll tell you what, he tells me about his dreams he has. Jesus Christ. Last night he got a cold... what's it where they clean your insides out by sticking a hose pipe up your backside and flushing water up there? Jesus, not a pleasant dream. But anyway, I know...
Did they run out of toilet roll?
Yeah, it's the lockdown problem. SGP keeps... Steve keeps...
I keep losing you.
But yeah, I was just going to say that I know that even some of the quicker guys in the league, although yes, in most leagues you would go, like, people go, well, I'm the quickest, I should be qualifying on pole and I should be running away with a win. Well, for some people, okay, yeah, but for others, that ain't a race. It's like, okay, yeah, you're quick, but it's not a race. And at the end of the day, in DGT League, it's a group of people that have come together, a few different groups that have known each other separately, that have come together, become friends, and race as friends. So it's not about who's fastest, who's quickest. It's about who gets it on the day and takes the win. So the more people that have that opportunity, I think the better. Definitely. Yeah. And that's what the following season after the Super season could definitely bring. But having said that though, the Walker Memorial Trophy, which is the season with the Toyota Supra, I mean, that's a step in a completely different direction for DGT League as well. But right, we're going to have a look at the confirmed result and standings in a second, because there is something even more important than all of that we've just been talking about, which is the fact that the next race is the title decider. It's going to come down to it. It's a three-way battle for the championship. Best on that day is going to take it, well, not necessarily best on the day, because not one of them could win the race but win the championship, but best of those three on the day is going to become the champion. I'll give you advice I'll give advice to the guys that are up the front.
don't have SRI behind you.
Or 10 cars behind you.
Yeah. But it does make it fascinating, and the next track is what is known as the DGT Seaside Dragon Trail, become the DGT test track. However, it's in the reverse direction to what everyone in DGT League is used to.
Pick that direction.
The what?
Who picked it in that direction?
You.
Did I?
Yes.
Well, it wouldn't be me.
It wouldn't be me either. See, conspiracy going on. If SGP wins this race, there's a dodgy connection going on. No, I'd never suggest that. At the end of the day, anyone could have won it by now, but it hasn't. It is going to come down to that last race, and it is going to be a tricky one, because in the opposite direction, that track's a tricky one. The bus stop, the chicane of death, whatever you want to call it, is a completely different beast in these cars in the other direction. However, there's only going to be one way to find out how the championship is going to end, and that will be to come and check out the footage next week. So
I want to make a disclaimer quickly. Admins do not pick stuff to make them better or go faster or
that is true.
Win the race.
No, you're absolutely. I mean, just to clarify, not one
just
of us.
SGP.
Yeah, me and Ray would never allow it, would we, Ray?
Nah, never at all.
No. Go-karts next season, yeah. Okay, so thank you, Stephen Ray, for joining us on commentary.
No, thank you for having us.
No problem. And time now to check out the confirmed race result and what that has done to the championship standings, and just how close it's going to be going into that last race of the championship. Here we go then. Steve F1 taking the victory in the maximum 20 points ahead of SGP in second place on 17 points. Mitch with a brilliant result in third takes 15, with Demon R only taking 13 points in fourth place. Tyler's had a good result in fifth, with Twilight in sixth, Dave the Harp 7th, Bunsell, I think best result of the championship for him, in 8th. Conrad finished in 9th, but unfortunately gets a -5 point penalty. Jimmy finished in 10th, just ahead of SRI, who also gets a 5 point penalty. Fluffy Planet was in 12th, with Groover 13th, Rich Blues 14th, Jason 15th, and unfortunately Gary did not get to the end of the race. Hopefully it wasn't because of the video we did for him last week. It was only a joke, Gary, honest. Joke but serious about the NHS tanks and all that. The bit about you in the picture, Rich had nothing to do with it. Anyway, for the penalties that have been applied in this race, you can check out the DGT Facebook page for the information on those. However, I do know that SRI made a big boo-boo near the start and was adamant that he himself deserved a penalty for it. Okay, let's see what that result has done to the championship standings. Demon R still leads the way, but he's now on 125 points, with SGP right behind him. Okay, still always been right behind him in second place, but he's much closer behind him. He's on 123 points, so it's only 2 points between them. Steve F1 taking that victory, he's now on 118, so it's now only 7 points from first to third. It means we definitely have a 3-way battle for the title in the last race of the championship. I'll try and go into a couple of permutations in a moment. Tyler's sitting in 4th place at the moment, quite comfortably now. Dave the Harp has moved up to 5th, with Mitch moving up to 6th. Mandalorian drops down to 7th, with Twilight now 8th, couple of points ahead of Fluffy Planet, who is also a couple of points ahead of Jason. We then have Bunsell sitting in 11th place on 38 points, and then Rich Blues just ahead of one of his rivals, Jimmy, who's in 13th place, and then Groover in 14th. Formula Gary 15th, with SRI 3 points behind him. Diesel still on only the 10 points, having only made the one appearance this championship as a reserve driver. And Conrad, unfortunately, with his penalty, stays in 18th place. It's just destined, Conrad. I'm afraid to say, I think it's just destined that it's going to end that way. Obviously, sometimes bad luck is the only luck people will get. Okay, a couple of the permutations that I mentioned about regarding the championship battle. Okay, a simple way to look at it is, if SGP finishes ahead of Demon R anywhere in the top 5, SGP becomes champion because he's won more races. So even if they ended up on the same points, SGP would take the title. However, if they're outside the top 10, the top 5, then SGP would need to make sure that he has at least a car between himself and Demon R to be able to take the championship. Obviously though, Steve F1 needs to try and outscore both of the drivers by at least 7 points, or even get 7 points over Demon R, and he could win the championship. Steve F1 could, because he has also won more races than Demon R. And regarding the finishing positions, let's see, it's 20 points for first, 17 for second, and 15 for third, with 13 for fourth. So Steve F1 would need to win with Demon R fourth or lower. So there's the permutations, if I've got that right. There's plenty of them, and I'm sure it'll change around a lot in the last race of the championship. Right, only one more race to go, folks, and it's the one that's going to count the most. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed this championship. There's still a lot to fight for all the way down the order, but one more race to go to find out who will be the Xanassin Trophy champion and be able to wear that crown into the Walker Memorial Trophy. Well, you know where to come for all of the action. Yeah, that's right, DGT League's YouTube channel. So make sure you join us next week to see who becomes victorious. Will SGP finally no longer be the bridesmaid? Will Steve F1 take back-to-back championships, or will Demon R make it 6 out of 8? 7. 6 out of 7. He's got no chance. Not with that mathematics. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you all again soon.